Hi guys, I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm super excited to welcome you all back to Wartburg so we can pick up where we left off. And as you know, that is here by the river where we'll be building the theme park. So last episode, we got all the infrastructure for this project set up, which means today we can go all in and get cracking. So, since we spent so much time faffing around at the start of last episode, I am just going to jump straight into getting stuff built today because I think that's also probably the best way to build the theme park. I don't think spending ages planning and thinking about what I want to do is really going to make this place look good. I think letting it grow naturally and do its own thing is probably the best idea. So what I want to look for is, do we get side gates here, or is it just we all connect back to the main gate? Yeah, so it all connects back to the main gate. So actually what I should do initially is quickly fence this area off, which I shall quickly do. So now that we've got the fences all placed down, the first step is obviously get a path network down. So this path network isn't set into stone. It's all just kind of, I want to obviously have a main drag, but as we start to unlock new attractions, then we can see what it's like when we place them down, get a feel for the size and how we actually want to set everything up. But initially we can just get down a nice starting area. So I've noticed that we have these game booths, and obviously you can see they're kind of in these quarter circles. So when you first walk through these gates, I feel like it would be nice, and these are messing up because we are right next to the shoreline here. So with these key walls, so if I drag that right up to the edge, and then initially I think it would look very cool. Which one's number one? So that's number one, so that'll go on the right hand side, and then number two goes on the left. Now I don't particularly like the way these trees are kind of set up now, because obviously the trees kind of get in the way. I won't mind having trees further around the park, but I think it's probably actually better to use the paths without trees and then put our own trees in at a later date. So hopefully I can just, there, yeah, that's fine. I just didn't want it to connect to this promenade here. So I feel like that looks quite nice, although there's a slight slope, but I don't think it's the end of the world. So we've got a nice little entrance here with the game booths to kind of warm people up as they come in. We've got some weird looking mascot dude that is kind of weirding me out, so I'm just going to quickly zoom out and see what else we have to put down. So the first, the amusement park plaza, that's not actually an attraction. So whereabouts is the center? It's probably around here somewhere. I kind of wanted to have, like, you obviously enter from down on the left side here in the corner, but I wouldn't mind building it out around a kind of center. I've just said center twice quickly there. But so if I place this down, this is a very nice plaza to have as the midpoint for everyone getting around. So I will square up around this, and I mean, it doesn't look very central at the minute, so I'll just quickly move it over. So now that looks way more central. It's quite nicely aligned. I measured it out a little bit with some of the road guidelines, so it's parallel to this road. Well, it will be if I run past up here. These paths down the middle are. So I've kind of gone for kind of obviously just your center square, and then paths in the middle of each side of the square coming off it that will lead to all of the different attractions. So let's actually start getting those down. So I can have more than one of these, but I don't think I want to because it's kind of a unique area. So what would be a cool idea too is to have these game booths again circling all the way around, because obviously, despite the fact there is only 2 of these game booths in the game, you'd have these littered all over the park because they want to squeeze as much money out of you as possible, and that's what we want to do as well as making a good park. So this is our nice little area if we just ignore the fact there's no electricity here. Obviously, it kind of looks a bit bland, a bit repetitive, but I can do some finer details later on. So, let's do the cool thing and get our first attraction down. So it is just a plain old carousel, probably for young kids. So I'm not going to think too much about it, and I am just going to place it on a corner. Because as long as it's down, it's going. You know what would actually be a better idea? If I place it over here, this way, like I leave a slight gap for some trees behind one of the game booths, that does jump power over. So electricity does jump over here, but obviously we don't have any electricity for the park's main entrance or the transport hub, so neither of them will be working right now. So what I will just quickly do, I don't want to mess up any of the trees I've placed down. So that does reach, and then we can run this power line down next to the station. And can I connect it in there without removing trees? I think I can. So it's just a small temporary power line, and I mean, you can't even really notice it. That might be able to stay there for the foreseeable future until any of this area gets filled up, because then it kind of looks like it connects to the tram depot. So that's quite cool. And now we have power to the whole area. Water supply is sorted too. So I think those are all the attractions that we can actually place down now. Yeah, they're all just small decorations. So what we haven't got is the souvenir shop, which obviously you have to have the souvenir shop right as you're leaving. So I will take a path off to the side just behind these game booths where I can put a souvenir shop to lure everyone in as they leave. And then what else do we have to place? We have the restrooms, and I also saw that we had the cafe. So I want to sprinkle restrooms and cafes throughout the park so they're easily accessible from everywhere. But we will have what seems to be the kind of main cafe right near the centre, with some restrooms right next door, across from the carousel, and all those tiles line up quite nicely. I do love the way the theme park buildings do all work quite nicely together. Like, if you didn't know any better, it could kind of look like them restrooms and cafe are meant to come next to each other, and they do as one building, which obviously they planned for that to do, but it's still just all links together really nicely, and it does look great. So for now, let's see what requirements that has given us. Did I include, oh yeah, I forgot that I have all this down here to build in as well if we need it. So we smashed the entertainment level through the roof. We don't need much more stuff in. That's probably because I've got all these game booths in. But we've currently had absolutely 0 visitors. So what I will do is come back to you in a few minutes, or hopefully a few minutes, not that many, when we actually hit the next level. So during that time there was no one going to the theme park, and I was slightly concerned and really confused. But it turns out where the theme park originally was, on this junction here, for whatever reason, citizens couldn't pathfind to the theme park entrance because it technically wasn't on the road. Because I don't know why, but I think it must mean this section of pavement isn't accessible, but then they can walk across it, so I don't know. But all I did was just move it to a more central location so it actually lines really nicely up with the plaza. And now there is just floods of people streaming into the park, so it should not be long now before we hit level 2. And finally, there we are, level 2. So that actually happens quite quick once I moved the main entrance. But just to boost it up, I did add a small bus station with a little loop for buses to get around, and also cars, but I prefer them not to use it, but they can if they want. And then I just added a couple bus lines that do all spread around the city. You can see all the line colours here are white because just for ease of use, I coloured all of the lines that service this theme park to be white, and all they do is spread to the 2 other major bus stations, the one right next to the football stadium, and then also one down at the university, because if they wanted to get here from the train, they've got the trams, and I don't want to fill the streets up with buses when it's unnecessary. So level 2, I clicked off it quite quickly. So what it seems we unlocked is the rotating teacups and the piggy train. So not the most thrilling rides, but rides are rides, and visitors are visitors, and money is money. So I feel like this strip that we can create here can be more centered to smaller rides, the ones that aren't as intense, that if you've got a small kid with you, you can come in, you don't have to walk too far, you've got the rides that they'll love, you can do them and then you can leave. So to make it less boring, I'm just going to add a quick winding path through here, and just so you don't have to walk all the way around, I'll just connect it in here too. And then I may as well actually clean this bend up. There we go. So the teacups can go slap bang in the middle, and then the piggy train, we'd want people to walk a bit further so they experience more of the park, because the piggy train seems to be a bit better, a little bit bigger, so we can stick that in there. And then we have these 2 rides, and then what we can do is just add our second restaurant and cafe. So this will be like the kids themed restaurant and cafe, and then the restrooms right next to it too. And then I will quickly pretty up this area, add a couple of trees so it looks quite nice and not plain and boring. So you can tell I didn't really think too much about the placement of the trees. I just thought it's nice to get a slightly natural foresty looking kind of theme, but then I added a few that do line the paths, like the larger trees lining the main pathway that you can obviously see is super busy, and I will replicate that on the other side when we do start building some stuff in here. So that is level 2 complete. And I just wanted to look, yeah, people are in fact using the station. You can see the trams look like they're the busiest. You can just see right underneath, it seems to be quite a large group of people waiting for the trams. I don't think the train is anywhere near as busy. Yeah, there's no one waiting at the train or this metro station, but hopefully that will change with time as we start developing it more. But you can see 517 passengers serviced last week when the theme park is on such a small scale is quite amazing. So it seems like a lot of cars are doing this loop here. So I think what I'm going to do to prevent that is just make all of these a right hand turn lane, so it's just one way and you have to come in and follow it the same way back out, just to stop cars using it purely to loop around and get back out into the city. And buses obviously will take the best route, so they can do whatever they want, but cars, I don't want doing that. You can see a lot of these cars are glitching out. I don't know if people just don't know what to do. We can ignore that. So if I just make this straight on as well, I'm unsure what's confusing the cars to come down here, realise they have to turn right. Oh no, it's people who are getting to the theme park by car. They're all coming in here, despawning, and you can see them getting out of their cars and going in. And this is just one thing that irks me out, but it's not going to change, is the fact that people spawn in cars. Obviously, that's a slight issue with maybe there's not enough public transport, but I feel like with the fact that the entirety of last video was purely focusing on public transport to the area, I don't know if that will be the case, but all I can be happy with is it's not causing, oh god, I was about to say it's not causing incredible amounts of traffic. It is. I feel like now traffic lights would be better, and also this being a left-hand turn only lane would be significantly better, and then just obviously because I've made the lanes of specific functions, transfer that. So are people getting off here and walking to the train station? Yeah, they are. They're getting off at this stop. I guess that makes sense because you do have to come all the way down and around to get up to the trams in here. So would it be more beneficial to move those tram stops to right outside the entrance? I think yes. I'm going to do it anyway. I can't actually tell which one's the tram because I also stopped the buses in here. Okay, that's a slight oversight. I do need to change the colour of the bus line. So we have a lot of blues, so I'll do it kind of this lime green colour. So you can see traffic is really starting to ramp up here, and I'm hoping the fact that I have just moved the tram stop to right outside the theme park entrance means that a lot of these cars will decide to take the tram rather than driving themselves. And obviously that won't happen immediately, and it won't stop completely because people are going to drive no matter what, but it's just hopefully it can get the number of cars down because it is backing up quite a ways. And to be honest, it's right in the city centre. Traffic's always going to exist, so I can deal with traffic. It's just immense traffic that really I don't want to see. But we seem to be well on the ways to level 3. We have shot through the roof with the amount of visitors we're getting, and the entertainment level is never an issue because we've got plenty of stuff placed down already. So hopefully this traffic will start to clear up as people start to use the trams, which we're kind of seeing them doing because you can see lots of vehicles are still spawning, but a lot less are because it was backing all the way up to here, which it is doing now, but I'm praying this will clear with time, which it looks like it's doing. So that is level 3, which adds finally some interesting looking attractions. So we've got the swinging boat, the House of Horrors, and the bumper cars. So swinging boat, I think, still fits nicely in with the theme of this area we've got going. It's a lot smaller than I thought it'd be, but it fits perfectly in this little spot here, surrounded by all these trees. And I think that kind of ties together this area quite nicely. And I would like to start moving on to this right hand side because it is looking quite lopsided at the minute. So if I just make the menus a bit smaller, I do like to have the fact that we have this path running parallel to the riverside. I think it's quite nice, but obviously we do have to curve it back in at some point. And I also want this dual path kind of set up to follow the curve. I'm not worried about road guidelines because it doesn't have to perfectly be parallel, but it looks pretty nicely parallel there. Obviously it does squeeze down a bit, but now I can just connect that up in those places. and I think that's quite a nice path design. So what I can do is quite nicely run this path and wiggle it interconnect up here, and then same with this path, I can just bring it over, take it all the way over here as well, but then obviously connect it to this double path setup here, and then one more connection just to make sure that people have plenty of ways to walk to get where they want. And now we can move on to the House of Horrors, the first decent sized looking attraction as well. So we will put this right on the main drag because this is going to be a big attraction for plenty of people. And then the bumper cars can get nicely near to the riverfront. And then I think that was all three of the attractions we unlocked. So obviously I will keep up with the pattern and I will decorate this area quickly. So after a slight bit of waiting, we have hit level 4. You may just quickly notice that with all the traffic issues, what better to do on a busy intersection than just to stick a roundabout there. Now the tram's going through the middle is causing some problems. If all the traffic clears up, it'll be fine, which it kind of looks like it is doing, but if it doesn't, I'll just make them go around the roundabout as well. But anyway, the fun stuff, level 4. So again, I forgot to read the pop-up, but it looks like we got the drop tower, the pendulum, and the log ride. So these actually look extremely interesting. Now, the pendulum, I already knew I wanted to go right here, so it's right in the center of the park. Well, center this way. You've got an amazing view of the river. You'll have an amazing view of the city over this side. And then you get a great view of the park as well, because one of my favourite things about these pendulum rides, I love them to pieces, especially the Doctor Doom Tower at Universal Studios in Orlando. When you go up there, you just see the entire park, and it's an amazing thing to look at. The same with the one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, you see the entirety of Blackpool. Who wouldn't want to see that? But I feel like the view on these rides just before you drop is what makes them so amazing. So that's why I wanted this quite near the middle. So then we have the pendulum. These pendulum rides are great, although the other week I did see a video of one in like another country collapsing on itself on TikTok, and it made me feel weird. It was horrible. I hope no one that's watching this is going to a theme park with a pendulum ride soon. And I'm sorry if I scared you off it, but I've been on loads and I've never had one collapse on me, so there's that. Anyway, back to the road, well, the path network. That is how it's going to kind of, actually, I don't like the way that finishes. I kind of want them both to merge into the same one as they come around. I'll just anarchy that in and quickly make this look better than it does. There we go, much better. So obviously we have the big roller coaster that comes at level 5. What else do we get at level 5 actually? I know this is peeking ahead and spoiling it for ourselves. A big wheel. Ooh. That's actually going to take some thinking about where that should be. Probably in this gap here, because this side is, other than the bumper cars and the what's this called, the haunted house, there's nothing over here really, so no one's really going to be walking around there. Obviously I am going to go and litter a few more cafes and restrooms around the park once we've got everything down and going. But yeah, I don't really want to leave many spaces blank like that, so what I will just do is add a lovely straight path through there and curve it in here, ready to go and see where we can fit this pendulum in. So this entire space I'll reserve for the roller coaster. So it looks like the pendulum's gonna go there. Is quite a nice location. Now, how big is this log flume? Wow, that is huge. I don't remember seeing this before. I don't know if this is new, because it looks it. Like, that looks like a way better quality than a lot of assets that were here, and I've never seen it before. Granted, I don't build theme parks often, but still. But that is really cool. So we are definitely tapering the big rides towards the back, which means the visitors have to walk all the way through the park and spot all these little shops that we're going to put through as they get towards the big rides that they want to be there for. And that is all the new stuff. So what I am going to do is just stick a little souvenir shop down here, maybe a restroom as well, and then we're actually quite close to this cafe over here, so I don't have to worry about that. But if the big wheels go in here, you're gonna want a cafe and some restrooms right next to it, because those big wheels are long. They are boring and they are long, and they give you great views, but you kind of get to the top, you see what you want to see, and then you've got to go all the way back down, and it just kind of feels like a big waste of time. So following the trend of the video today, I am going to go and green up these areas. There we go. Nice and green and treey. And how far are we away from level 5? We are over halfway there. So 10k visitors, realistically that should be done in absolutely no time. And brilliant news, the idea, well, the philosophy of roundabouts fix traffic holds true for this situation as well, because look how clear this area looks now. So one thing I'm still slightly confused about though is the sheer volume of people that are still getting off this tram stop, and the severe lack of people that are getting on and off at this tram stop. It's kind of crazy. So the trams are completely empty by the time they get here. Oh no, this tram's had 2 people on it. So I don't know if it's just worth completely removing that altogether. It might be too close proximity, but all it's doing is making it busier. So that's a monorail stop. So yeah, the trams need it to loop back round anyway. But yeah, it just kind of seems slightly. Maybe if I just like move them 1 block over, and then it might be the fact that they have nowhere to cross when they get off. So just like next to the near to the tram tracks, I will add just a new node, so it'll turn into a crossing here. You can already see people are using the crossing, so we know it works. So you have this tram stop right in the middle of these 2 crossings. I wonder if I can put lights on that as well. Yeah, I can. So hopefully that encourages people to use that crossing there. And if not, it's not the end of the world. It looks cool. It's realistic. And that's all that really matters. I've also noticed our money is massively in the green at the minute as well. Obviously 75k is not all coming from the theme park, but the theme park is making money, and I really did drop these ticket prices when I was trying to figure out why no one was coming. So I'm really going to ramp them back up. And now it is just finally awaiting game 4, the last level of level 5. And finally, we have hit level 5, which means we are able to build the last few pieces of our theme park. So, what I want to place first is obviously the Ferris wheel, which still isn't as big as I thought it'd be. Everything here seems to be like, I don't know if it's just my perspective is slightly warped, but it just seems to be quite smaller than you'd expect it to be, but it's still significantly bigger than the rest of the stuff in the park. and it still looks quite cool. It sounds awfully creaky. But yeah, other than that, it does look quite cool. But that's not the important bit that we all want to see. What we all want to see is the roller coaster, which is as big as I want it to be. So actually, before I place it down, I do kind of want to fill this area a bit more. So I'll drag another path through, and then we will grab the roller coaster wherever it is there, and that fits absolutely perfectly in this space here. And let's take a look at it. See, now that is an amazingly cool roller coaster. That looks amazing. I like the lights and everything. That is really cool. That has been worth the wait. Although that drop looked a bit anticlimactic and then it sped up a lot. Anyway, I shouldn't pay too much attention to them because the game isn't built around making the theme parks. So I'm going to quickly add the last few details, but that's pretty much it. That's everything that we wanted placed down. 5 stars, maxed out, and it looks, obviously I'm still going to clean it up a bit, but from a bird's eye point of view, it looks pretty nice. And then it does seem to fit in quite well with the surrounding area. I really do like the way this has all turned out. And even the street next to it with all of the big skyscrapers. You've got the Modern Art Institute here too. And you just got this whole really nice, good looking financial district. With a weirdly placed crematorium. I do not like that at all, so that is gone. And we've obviously got this really nice bridge, and then you've got the theme park. And I'm just thinking that when I zoom out, this whole downtown area is really starting to come together. There's only these empty spaces here, and then we're pretty much looking finished for this section of the downtown. Obviously, we do have all this area to expand into yet, so there still is plenty more to do. And obviously, I do want to finish the docks and wrap this up. And then there is this cool island, which unfortunately is just outside of the 25 tile range. But you can see there's so much more coastal space that we could have a play around with if I decided to unlock all 81 tiles, because there is obviously the 81 tile mod, but that does kind of sometimes make your game quite glitchy. So I'm just kind of refraining from that until it's absolutely necessary. So we're just going to use the space we have at our disposal, which is still absolutely plenty. But I would like to thank everyone for watching this video to the end. If you have, it's been really fun building this theme park. I have quite thoroughly enjoyed myself. I'll probably spruce it up a bit and make it look a little bit nicer off camera or at a later date, but for now I am more than happy with the way this looks, and I hope you guys are too. So thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Please like and subscribe if you already haven't, and I will see you in the next video.